Hey, what's up, mortals? It's me, Robert Ramirez, aka Rarzrevenge here. And before we get into today's video, there's something I'd like to say. I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time. So if you're interested, go to the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, if this video hits 300 likes by the end of the week, we'll continue this what if. Thirdly, if you didn't know, only 41.3% of you guys are actually subscribed to us, so please hit that subscribe button and click that bell icon. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the story. You can put your trust in UA. I already have someone in mind based on our records and reports from the support faculty. Depending on today's technology is currently our only hope. After the talk with the Jet Hero, Principal Nezu made sure to check in on the support department's teachers. His suggestion is trying to use a high-end technology to fight back against the evil that surrounded today's society ever since the death of the symbol of peace meant that they needed the best of the best. And where else could they find such talent except UA High School? If Nezu was going to be completely honest with himself, he knew the chances of winning against someone like All For One was a little 0 to none. But if they took in consideration the number of talents all around Japan and the world, pro hero and in training, there might be a slim chance of actually achieving the impossible. The death of All Might was more than tragic and disastrous. It was more catastrophic than how everyone that lived during then until now knew. One for All died with the late hero before he could ever find a successor. And the fact by itself was obviously something that everyone should have been worried about. As he looked back at the sky, the principal took a deep breath as all the thoughts took over his brain. Despite his quirk acquiring him intelligence higher than any human, he was experienced enough to know that all plans have holes, and when they do, that could result in a huge loss for them. For now, he needed to make sure that his plans were set. Midoriya was still inside the workshop when he saw the principal walk past by the room. His green orb showing confusion as to why their department had the honor of being visited by the highest authoritan of UA. Was a student in trouble? A teacher? He murmurs to himself a bunch of ideas, his calloused hands continuing to tinker on his project. How odd, Izuku murmured to himself, grabbing a screwdriver as he tried adding a new feature to his gloves. All Might was able to send different kind of punches with different kind of strength depending on what kind of smash he used. So, the wind pressure must be different for each punch. He grabs his notebook from the side, eyes scanning all the techniques known by mankind by All Might. As he continued working on his support item, the sound of someone entering the door startled him that made the boy almost drop everything he was holding. Principal Nezu! Powerloader! Midoriya exclaimed in surprise, immediately standing up from his seat at the sudden visit he wasn't even expecting. Oh god! Am I in trouble? He started rambling in his brain with possible reasons as to why he was being visited by the principal. Midoriya, this is Principal Nezu. Powerloader introduced the small man, or rodent, to the student. Midoriya bowed his head down with a quick greeting before finally being ushered to sit down again. Midoriya, it's a pleasure to meet you, Nezu greeted the young man back, the usual cheeky smile painted on his whiskery face that contrasts the obvious nervous smile of Izuku. Likewise, Principal Nezu. I didn't expect anyone visiting, so I didn't get to clean up my workshop, so it looks a little messy. My apologies. Midoriya bowed down the second time. His ears perk up as the gears on his table suddenly start making sounds of wind blowing. Oh, is that the support item you're working on? Midoriya almost had a heart attack as the principal jumped up on his table just to see the item. Yes, but it isn't the best condition yet. Midoriya explained despite the persistent hands and paws of the authoritan trying to get a hand on the glove. In the end, Izuku had to give up trying to fend him away as he grabbed the project and showed it to the two. This glove is some sort of device where it aims to help the user send a punch as strong as All Might's. The young boy started telling his inspiration behind the power of the gloves, his once nervous and embarrassed eyes now glimmering with excitement and passion. You see, Texas Smash creates a wind pressure strong enough to wipe out half a city and this is all from just a straight punch. Considering that, the wind pressure alone could and can break the user's arm. I'm also adding some sort of support for the arm to lessen the damage. As Deku continued mumbling about the contraption, the support department teachers coughed echoed throughout the walls of the room to try to make the boy realize he had been rambling again. Midoriya was quick on the uptake. An embarrassed smile once again decorated his lips. His passion for his work was something he could never put into words despite his habit of always being a chatterbox when it comes to heroes and the likes. Come to think of it, most of his support items were inspired by All Might. The other ones were basically items he made for the hero course students that were needing improving or repairing, and others where he thought he could use himself. One of the things he made for himself was a disc. When thrown, it releases metal so thin that it's basically invisible to the human eyes. His inspiration behind this was his mother's quirk that enabled her to attract small objects. As he let his thought process take over him, a sudden bang disturbed the room a second time. The loud crash came from one of his classmates entering the place, her pink hair bouncing up and down from excitement to the point she didn't even realize the other people inside the room besides Midoriya. Before we get back into the story, I'd like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes over the hard facts of the anime presented. Now, in case you guys didn't know, we have a third channel called Anime Theory. Anime Theory mainly focuses on a large variety of mind-boggling anime theories. If you're interested in content like this, please go check out the description down below, or click the eye icon in the top right corner. Now with that out of the way, let's get back into the story. Hey, Midoriya, look! I finally finished the sensor on the goggles we were. There are other people here. Hatsume blinked in confusion while looking at the two authorities of UA. Powerloader? And, who are you again? The last uttered out without care, giving the green-haired boy an almost heart attack. How could she not recognize the principal of her own school? Midoriya was stuttering on his seat, afraid of what could happen to his classmate after saying and doing something disrespectful in front of the highest power in UA. He was about to intervene, but was suddenly stopped by the loud chuckle from Principal Nezu. Oh, what is that you have there? Nezu looked at the thin pieces of glass on the girl's dirty glove. His small paws that were once roaming his table now placed behind his back. This is my baby with Midoriya. As more words escaped the girl's lips, the higher chance of Midoriya ending up dead during the situation. He knew it was nothing malicious with Hatsume considering she calls her inventions baby, and this was something they created together, but it could still be something misunderstood by other people. Good thing was that the principal was quick to take in the intention behind her words. Well, Hatsume and I decided to create support items together and we decided on goggles. The pieces of thin glass she's holding are the sensors I left her with to create. Izuku started explaining, ignoring the last ignorance of the situation, as she fiddled with the sensor with his tools. The sensor purpose is multiple. It could send signals that someone is around the area through the inner ear speaker I created. The young boy's lips formed a smile without him realizing after he explained their collaboration. His eyes sparkling as he saw the amazement in the rodent's eyes. Midoriya lowered his head in embarrassment, his hands traveling to his nape. He could never admit to himself, but some part of him was still hoping and wishing he had a quirk. Sure, he was in his dream school. Sure, he was happy with putting his all into items he created, but someone inside him was still yearning for something he wasn't blessed with. He was more than excited to work on things the hero course needed, but he still couldn't help but feel envious. Out of everyone in the world, why was it him not given what he desperately wanted ever since? His notebook of heroes' quirks was a symbol of his dream. Everything inside was a dream he could never reach. Despite finally admitting to himself he was a hopeless cause, he couldn't stop and thought that maybe creating these stuff could be a bridge to the other side that was impossible to go to before. I see. Principal Nezu spared his glove another glance before looking at the two of them, along with the sensor, his paw lifting up as if he had an idea. How about you two create another device together and present it to me as soon as it's finished? Nezu suggested to them, and Hatsume almost yelled in excitement after being told earlier by Powerloader who the rodent in the suit was. I'll be able to show off another baby I'll be creating? Ah, yes! I would love to collaborate with Midoriya again. She was practically squealing to the point Midoriya couldn't have the heart to even object. Also Midoriya, do you mind showing me those gloves after you finish it? I'm really interested and fascinated. Principal Nezu pointed his paw at the table where the glove support item was placed. A loud laugh escaping the rodent's lips when Midoriya nodded quite nervously. Midoriya has never had the chance to present something personal to him in front of someone so important to the school, and it made him shiver in his seat. What if he suddenly broke the item? What if suddenly a screw came loose? Will he be expelled? As Principal Nezu bid his goodbye to the students, Midoriya's held-in breath finally had a chance to be released. He couldn't pinpoint what he felt was odd, but he's sure that there was. What do you think about UA's new prodigies? Nezu and Powerloader were already out of the room when the latter asked the question, the former's eyes cast downward while walking. The future is bright with them. The amount of passion and time they put into their work is amazing. Don't you think so? Nezu lifted his head to look at his companion, being met with him nodding in agreement. They'll be extremely helpful when the time comes, especially when your plan you told me earlier will finally be put into action. Powerloader stopped in his tracks afterwards, facing down the smaller to ask the question, are you sure that whatever you planned will be effective? I believe in technology, but I also believe in how the enemy is strong enough that he killed the strongest ally we had. He continued speaking, his voice laced with worry and doubt regarding that idea. When Principal Nezu approached him about it, while he was working on something, he couldn't help but ask whether his plan was a joke. Technology against sheer power? It was impossible just how it sounded to anyone who could possibly hear it. Much to his fear, the principal wasn't kidding at all. He understood enough that technology has gone through a huge upgrade over the years. But was their generation up to it? Was technology that advanced enough that they could defeat the person who had been causing fear to everyone ever since? Their shadow was still felt, despite it not being seen. The fear of another All Might incident was buried in everybody's mind, especially in the government's. The probability of it happening was high, and time was against their side. The two were about to part their own ways around the school after saying their goodbyes, suddenly being stopped in their tracks as one of the hero course teachers approached them. Principal Nezu, I'm afraid we need to call for an emergency meeting. There is something we must tell you, and it's about them. With those words alone muttered by Cementos, both the principal and Powerloader felt a shiver down their spine at the mention and thought of that person already back. Were they too late? Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now, there are a few more things I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writers for this video and the editors for this video. Their details will be in the description down below. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, are you interested in becoming one of those? Go to the Discord that is in the description of this video and hit up ahead of one of those areas. We're always looking for new members to join us. That's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you are interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out, mortals. Have a fantastic day. Have a Plus Ultra day.